Top of the morning to you, ladies. This is our yard podcast. This is episode number 10, 10. And today we're going to be going over, we seen that y'all kind of like the music episode. So we're like, hey, fuck it. We might as well ball out and do some music, we're just going to go through the years. Last week we did 1991. We're going to start out with 1992 today. And then we'll just kind of go along with the years. And then, we've had a comment, Trevor told me about from Peyton Miller that said, we could do like top 10 guitars, some other years, stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? We might as well just do it. I think people are here for it, so, our time is now. And I guess I'll start it off. Have us a good, from the year 1992, I'm gonna go with one of my personal favorite albums. Is gonna be Megadeth, Countdown to Extinction. Man, there's not enough words I can say about this album. It's awesome. Like, it's one of my favorites. It's probably, realistically, when I start thinking about albums, and I say top 10, like I'll say it a lot, and I really don't have my top 10 albums. I would have to sit down and do a list and like go through all that BS. But I would have to say, just in this very moment, it is a top 10 album of mine, without a doubt. I mean, you had the big hits on there, like Sweat and Bullets. You had Sweat and Bullets, and then you had, what's the name of that? Damn, I just lost it. Symphony of Destruction, stuff like that. It was like their highest charting album. But like,
Skin of My Teeth and Foreclosure of a Dream.
Yeah, like, starts off with Skin of My Teeth. Just a sick album opener. And then Symphony of Destruction. Yeah, it's been played a million times, but holy shit, it's great. I mean, it's just a good song. I mean, the whole album, I can listen to it top to bottom, like no skips. It's perfect. It's my favorite Megadeth lineup with, it has Marty Friedman on guitar, Redacted on bass, and then Dave Mustaine, on guitar and vocals, obviously, and Nick, damn, I just lost.
Nick
I don't
Menza.
know, Nick Menza? Yeah.
Menza, yeah.
That's right, okay.
Yeah, good old David Ellison.
Yeah, I'm just a little
excited. You crank my hog. On video chat with a minor. And yeah, so now he's not in Megadeth anymore, and you'll have that. And
yeah. But Architecture of Regression, dude, like, that's like the drum intro to that song, like Friedman's solo, it's phenomenal. Foreclosure of a Dream is a beautiful song. That's my dad's favorite. Sweat and Bullets, I mean, that's probably the one song, like, I will get tired of. I can skip it on I guess, like, cause like at this point, I know I said no skips, which it's a damn good song. It's just like, sometimes if I'm not in the mood for it, I'll be like, alright, I'll just go. Cause like, This Was My Life, get the fuck out of here. That's my favorite. This Was My Life, that's my favorite Megadeth song. That's hands down best song on the album to me. Countdown to Extinction, the title track, phenomenal. High Speed Dirt, a quick, fast, in your face thrash song. It's just banging. Psychotron, I feel like Psychotron's probably the one song that most people don't know about, or like that would be the least known song on the album, but my God, is it a fucking gem. It's like, shout out my cousin Josh for showing me this, like showing me the good Megadeth stuff, like Captive Honor and the Ashes in Your Mouth. I mean, what a what a way to end an album. I mean, dude, it's just one of the best to me. Like I can't go wrong at any given day to listen to it, and like I said, top to bottom, just bang it on out. That's one of the I wouldn't necessarily say these are like this is my number one pick. I don't know if it's my number one album from '92 yet. I'll probably hit my favorite from them, but it's up there. Like it's just the first one I thought of. I was like, gotta drop this on here, so that's why I'm living. And then I'm gonna turn it over to Swaggy T. Let him give y'all a lesson.
That's right. Kind of going back into what I was talking about last episode with this. This was just like the years that music really started changing, and this album, upon its release, was actually like criticized heavily because everybody thought they were trying to rip off, Pearl Jam and Nirvana, and I get whoever got Soundgarden out of this is, that's a little much, but it stood the test of time, and it's one of the best albums from that era. I'm talking about Core from Stone Temple Pilots. Dead and Bloated is arguably the best opening track to an album I can think of personally. It's just most people's introduction to them was getting this funky ass looking album cover, and you're like, what is this going to sound like? And then you got Scott Weiland screaming lyrics into the pickups of a guitar for the intro of that song. Immediately goes into Sex Type Thing and Wicked Garden, two their bigger hits, outstanding songs nonetheless. Goes into a nice little instrumental. No Memory. It's just not even a minute and a half long, but that sets into the longest song on the album. Well, second longest outside of the outro. It's a song called Sin, track 5. Fucking banger of a song, probably my favorite on the album personally. Naked Sunday. Just again, this is an album I don't really think there's a skip on it.
Oh
no. Immediately goes into probably the second biggest hit that came off this album, Creep. And a lot of people don't realize this is the one that came first out of the big hits called Creep. And this is the much better song in my opinion. We'll get into Radiohead at another day, or the lack of that will show you how we feel about them. Anyway, Piece of Pie, track 8, music completely written by Robert DeLeo from Jersey Shore, and he wrote most of the music on the album. And all the lyrics are written by Waylon, except for Creep, who was written with Robert DeLeo, and Plush written with Eric Kretz, who I believe is their drummer. Yes, and we get into Plush after that, and that's probably the biggest hit off this album, if I had to guess. I would say Plush, more than likely, and then the 3-song run to end the album. You have the quick little Wet My Bed, and then you have Cracker Man, and the longest song in the album at 8.5 minutes long, Where the River Goes. Good Lord. Like, just a wonderfully well put together album, and looking back on it, it's aged very, very well. Among all these like early 90s grunge albums. And it kind of makes you think, like, why the hell did people not like it when it came out, or why did music critics like have such a big comeuppance with it? I couldn't tell you personally. I think they're out of their damn mind. But just a fantastic album. If you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend it. And like I said, my favorite song on the album personally is probably Sin.
Not a bad one. Really, I mean, really not a bad song to choose from on that album. It's a banger.
Out of the hits, my two favorites are probably either Sex Type Thing or Wicked Garden, but Dead and Bloated is a phenomenal song as well.
Dead and Bloated might be the best opening track to an album.
It might be like it's a hell of a way to start an album.
Like, my dad told me, like, that was the first time he heard him, and he popped the cassette in to his Ford Fiesta and dropped. That's what he heard was Dead and Bloated, and it fucked his world up. But I say that, and I'm gonna say this song. You know, this next album that I have picked out for the year 1992, because it opens up with a big old bang. We're talking about Rage Against the Machine, self-titled debut album, opening up with Bomb Track, baby. You can't. You get
It's
the
hard
fuck
to beat that.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit, dude. Like, Rage Against the Machine, fucking brother. Like, I really do enjoy Rage Against the Machine. I fuck with them heavily, but by far, like, this is my favorite album of theirs, and it's just, I don't know. I have a lot of memories of this album because I've listened to it so much through different periods of my life, and it's just kind of always been there. And I'm like, man, this album it just hits, man. Like, open up with Bomb Track, then you go into Killing in the Name, which is their biggest song,
and
Take the Power Back. You know, opening up with those first three songs, like
it's hard to beat that.
Yeah. Then you got, this is, okay, I'll go for this. I'll just say the track list and then I'll get into what I want to say to you or get your opinion on. So then you got Settle for Nothing, Bullet in the Head, Know Your Enemy, featuring, Maynard James Keenan, Wake Up, Fistful of Steel, Township Rebellion, and Freedom. So, Fistful of Steel is my favorite, like, the fucking riff, like when Trevor and I were in a band and we used to have sound check, that's what I would open up with. When they would ask my guitar, I'd just hit that down now, down now. That, whatever, fuck you. That shit bangs, brother. Like, Fistful of Steel, that shit, I mean, that song just hits. Like, it gets me going every time I listen to it.
That's a fighting song. There ain't a calm song on this album, I mean.
Not really. But the one, well, I mean, Wake Up would be the most mellow song on there, but even it had, like, in the chorus, it, like, you know, they freak out.
I mean, the end of the song, Zach's just screaming, "Wake up!" Like, and that's the calmest song on the album.
That's all I have to ask you. 3 songs, you know, what we talked about when we did the last review and we got to Metallica is like, you know, people talk about the greatest 3-song runs on albums. What's the 3-song run you would do for the first Rage Against the Machine album?
Wake Up, Fistful of Steel, Township Rebellion's probably the first one that comes to mind. Bullet in the Head to Wake Up is amazing too.
Yeah. See, I was also thinking like
Bomb Track to Take the Power Back. Again, that's a hell of a way to start an album.
But see, I also think like, you know, a sleeper pick might be Settle for Nothing, Bullet in the Head, Know Your Enemy. You know, that's a hard run.
Oh yeah.
But, like the last three songs, it's kind of like Fistful of Steel, Township, and I'm like, that's hard, brother. That's hard to beat. Like, it's just, oh, I love it. It's just a phenomenal album. Like, if I had I don't know, if I had to give a grade to that album, I don't even know. Like, I probably, for sure, like, I don't know. I have this feeling, like, I know I talked it up, like, I don't know. I just feel like probably 8.5 or a 9 out of 10 would probably be my rating on that first Rage Against the Machine album.
Yeah, it's one of the best albums ever made, and definitely, I would say objectively one of the top 5 albums from 1992 of any genre. But that's an opinionated statement, so can't really say that. But we're not music critics, but according to most music critics, the best album released in 1992. Is a personal favorite of mine, and everybody's always saying, "Oh, yeah, when you go to a concert, it's like, yeah, you here to have a good time." Well, too bad. These guys are here to have a bad time. We're talking about REM and Automatic for the People. As sad of an album as it is, the goddamn masterpiece of an album. It really is. And talking about one thing most of these albums share in common is it's going to be a punch to you one way or another, however the albums start off. And Automatic for the People starts off with a 4.5 minute song Drive, which just immediately sets the mood for the rest of the album. And you can just tell through like the names of the songs themselves, just like what kind of album it's supposed to be for you. But side one, they have the drive side and the ride side. Side one, side two. Starts with Drive. Try Not to Breathe is the next song after that. Another somber song. Track 3 and 4. Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight is a hit unto its own, and it's more of like a jangle pop kind of song. It's more of like kind of a more good feeling song. And just in case you thought you were going to get another good feeling song, Everybody Hurts is immediately after that. And that's a song I struggle getting through without crying to this day, just because it's just that kind of song for me, at least.
Coward.
It is what it is. I don't know. The music video doesn't help either.
Everybody hurts.
Sometimes. Number 5 and 6 of side 1 is going to be New Orleans instrumental number 1. Just them in their bag musically, because REM, they're always known as like kind of like the pop rock band that wound up yeah, let's put a mandolin in a song and sing about religion. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people our age know them for, but they were all fantastic instrumentalists. On top of that, it was more of it's more of a subtlety in the way that they instrumentalize their songs, but you can really see that in New Orleans instrumental number 1. And Sweetness Follows is the last song of side 1, and immediately into my personal favorite song on the album, Monty Got a Raw Deal. And then the next hit after that is Ignore Land, which is almost a glam metal song in its own right. Right after that is Stormy Kitten. And then you talk about 3-song runs on albums. The album ends with track 10, 11, and 12. Man on the Moon, which was the first REM song I ever heard. Night Swimming and Find the River. And they just fully cooked up a masterpiece with this one. It's just a wonderful album. There
Bro, that
isn't.
shit goes in. Like,
It hurts you. It hits you in the soul. It's just one of those kinds of albums.
and one of the things about REM that I always respect, but outside of their talent is, brother, like they had something with their popular songs, like their hits, like, some people, like a lot of artists, you listen to a song, it's like, I'm done, like, I can't keep listening to this shit anymore, but it's like, an REM song, it don't matter if it's their hits, you've heard all your life, it's like, damn, this shit's still slapping. And then it's like, you listen to the album, the deep cut, like, you're just like, damn, this shit hits harder. Like, I
Hmm.
don't know, man. REM was just, brother, they were on a historic run back in the day. Like, they were just doing, I don't know. They were just doing the Lord's work. I love it. Like,
Yeah.
I can't say nothing bad about it.
And it's just, if I had to give it a rating, honestly, it's a 10 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10. I don't care. It's just, it is that good of an album that you will sit down, you will listen to it. And if you've never heard any of these songs, they will make you cry, especially when you're an adult. You can actually relate to this shit a lot more than you could when you're like 6 years old singing "Man on the Moon," fucking not knowing what the hell it's about. And, and yeah, like at the very lowest, 9.5 out of 10. Like this, it really is. Like I highly recommend this album to anybody that hasn't heard it.
Yep. So, well, I guess I'm going to get emotional real quick. This song, this goes out to all the people that hurt me. No, this next, so I got a 2-for-1 because this year the band dropped a surprise EP and then dropped their landmark album, which some consider is their best album, which I think the first one is because there's skip tracks on the second one, but that's, personal preference, I guess.
Yeah.
We're going with, it's going to be my third favorite band. No, hold up. I'm sorry. It's going to be my second favorite artist of all time. It's Alice in Chains. So, you got Sap and Dirt. So Sap was a surprise EP that they released, and my dad told me when he found out about it in 1992, he went into the record store in Tupelo called Album Alley. Shout out my godfather Johnny, who worked there for 30 years till it closed. They were at he was walking through Album Alley and he goes past and it's like a tape. And it's like, it says, "Oh, Alice in Chains new album or new EP." And he's like, "What the hell is this?" It was $4. He's like, "Fuck, hell, let me buy this, I reckon." So he buys it, he throws it in his Cutlass tape track in the tape deck, and he said it didn't leave for about 7 months. Like, until Dirt, well, something like that, until Dirt came out, and then that stayed in there. But, yeah, brother, Dirt, like, it's funny I said brother, cause that's the first track of the album, on the EP. You got Brother, Got Me Wrong, Right Turn, In My Inside, Love Song, and like, Got Me Wrong ended up becoming a hit, a little bit later on. Like, nothing was like released as a single. It was just like I said, overnight, I've seen interviews with Jerry Cantrell talking about it. They were just like, "Hey, let's just give the people something, these extra acoustic songs that won't fit on this new album." So that was the whole thing with it. And then, like I said, Got Me Wrong ended up becoming a hit later on.
Thanks to Clerks.
Yeah. And like, Am I Inside? Probably my favorite song off the EP. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I mean, it's just, dude, I mean, it's Alice in Chains, bro. I don't know what to say. Like, if you don't love Alice in Chains,
fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you, liberal. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you need to reevaluate your life, honestly, because Alice in Chains is that fucking band, and they have a song for everyone, especially if you're depressed. So then we go into Dirt, which opens up with, in my, how I was raised, it opens up with Damn That River, because in the words of Brad Edward Midkiff, fuck them bones, that song ain't never been goddamn good, motherfuckers. That's, it opens up with them bones, not like the two songs on here I skip, I don't listen to at all, is Them Bones and Rooster. I don't like it. Never liked them. The one thing I do like about Them Bones is Jerry's guitar solo, and of course Sean Kenny's drumming, because Sean Kenny to me is a top 5 drummer. I don't care. Like, Sean Kenny's drumming carried a lot of those Alice in Chains songs, and like, if you don't believe it, like, just listen to them, go back, focus on the drumming, and you'll be like, holy fuck. I've never realized that he was that good. Like, he is the dude. Like, you can't sleep on him anymore. I'm tired of the shit. So you got Them Bones. And then you go into Damn That River, which, my God, that's the best. Like, I don't understand. Like, that should have been the opener because, holy fuck. Like, that song is so electric. Like, it just gets you going. Like, my dad saw him. You know, he saw him open up for Ozzy on the No More Tears tour in 92. And, they opened up with Damn That River. And I can't even imagine how electric that was. Like, to see the original Alice in Chains and like hear him open up with Damn That River. Then you go into more of a melancholy vibe. Rain When I Die. Honestly, on this album, it kind of, there's some, like, Black Sabbath. Well, okay, so they're my second favorite band, like Black Sabbath and Counterparts, my two favorite bands. Like, they're just my favorite band. I don't separate them. Like, they're both one. You know, if you don't like it, I really don't give a fuck. Like, I can't separate them in my heart. I've tried to, I just can't do it. You know, but like, right, there's a lot of, on this album, I felt like there was a lot of Sabbath influence on there. And like, that was one, like, Rain When I Die is definitely one of them. And man, it's just an awesome song. Like, the one thing I always think about the song is the first time I heard it and like it cut off and I was waiting for the next song and then it just comes back on that outro. It's like, and it faked me out. My dad laughed at me because I got, like, it's like I got juked from, it's like I got juked by 2004 Mike Vick. I was faked out. Then you got another hit, Down in a Hole, which is just a beautiful song. I mean, it's kind of a dark song, I guess, too, but God, it's so good, man. Down in a Hole, like, I can listen to that any day. I mean, Sick Man, yeah, like, how he sings that song is, like, the way Lane sings that song, his voice is just insane. I love Sick Man. It's just a banger. I mean, just a classic. I love it. Rooster, yeah, go fuck yourself. Junkhead really, it hits me a lot, and like, you know, just because like Dylan, like, not to dig too deep in personal stuff, I guess, which I don't really give a fuck if y'all know. You know, like, I've had my problems with, different types of substances before. And like, I kind of, I just relate to Junkhead a lot on that level. And I'm like, yeah, man, it just hits different for me. And I'm like, I feel it, It's just like, That's probably my favorite. I honestly, I don't really know. I can't even break it down what my favorite song. It's probably Junkhead. I'll say it's tied for number one because the last song on the album, even though it's a hit, it's probably my favorite song on the album. But Dirt, the self-titled song, like I don't. It's a little
Between
dark.
Dirt and Sick Man's my two favorite off this album.
Yeah, like dude, Dirt. It has that Sabbath. It has a Sabbath feel. Like the riff is so close to Electric Funeral, just slowed down. It's it's wild. Like listen to Electric Funeral by Black Sabbath and then Dirt by Alice in Chains, and you'll be like, oh shit, like it is similar. It's just man, Dirt. Like it's another one of those. The lyrics just hit me really hard. You know, especially like just you know, yeah, just steaming pistol in my mouth. Go ahead and shoot me. You know, scrape me off the wall. Dude, this just, goddamn, I don't really have words to describe how much these songs mean to me and like what I really feel about them. I just fucking love them. And I guess that's about as much as I can go. I just love it. Untitled, which is kind of, on some releases it said Red Rum because it's like, it's like that whole thing like, I am Iron Gland. And it's like Red Rum, Red Rum, Red Rum. And then the best, the three song album, like the best, like to end a fucking album, your last three songs is like, it's similar to how I felt about the Metallica Black album. Like, Hate to Feel, which is an underrated, beautiful song. Like, Hate to Feel, Angry Chair, and Wood. Wood is probably my favorite song, and I know it's a hit. Like, I don't care. You know, if that shit means something to you, like, go suck a duck. I don't care. Like, I can't help you, brother. Wood is just, you know, he wrote it for Andrew Wood. I mean, just a beautiful song. It hits me every time. And the Angry Chair, that goes back to, my little being about, Sean Kenny being one of the best drummers of all time. Like, the drumming on Angry Chair, just listen to it. It's like, it just takes you somewhere. Like, dude's just in the pocket, brother. Like, he carries that song. You know, like Angry Chairs, it's banging. And then, you know, which I love, the guitar solo in there is underrated guitar solo, but it's beautiful. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And Wood, I mean, yeah, it's just, my God, what a fucking album. The lyrics, like the music, everything just fucking is phenomenal. Just, you know, like I said, but unfortunately, I had to give it a 9 out of 10 because they had to put Them Bones and Rooster on this album, and that's unfortunate. But, you know, whatever. Outside of that, yeah, like it would, dude, it's like, I'll say this about Alice in Chains, Facelift is the best album to me because it don't have a skip. Like, I don't skip anything on Facelift. Don't do it. You're lying to yourself. But like, you can skip Them Bones and Rooster and, you know, you still get the full effect of this album. So that's why it's number 2 on the album. Like, that's why it's behind Facelift for me, and I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. You know, beautiful. It's just, fuck it. I love Alice in Chains. I could go on about them for days. But yeah, that's my other pick. That's my third pick of the year. And then we'll let Trevor Cole take you on an adventure real quick.
Oh yeah. So we're going to take a little bit of a detour off of what we've been talking about so far and go from more rock-based bands to a hip-hop album that means quite a lot to me. Talking about the 1992 release, Mecca and the Soul Brother from Pete Rock and CL Smooth. This is I mean, if you have a general idea of like what like 92 East Coast hip hop sounded like before, like in between like Rakim and Wu-Tang, because there's definitely like, like before all that, you had like your LL Cool J's and your like Grandmaster Flash. I know that's probably a 10-year gap there, but like you have everything that kind of encompasses in that. Then Eric B and Rakim came along, and then the flow pretty much changed forever. And Pete Rock and CL Smooth were two great examples of that. And it starts off with a Return to the Mecca. Got both of them on it. And, you know, you'll see that between these songs. Sometimes it's just CL Smooth on the song. Sometimes it's just Pete Rock. Sometimes it's both of them. But that's just how it goes. And they both produced all the beats on the album outside of two where they had people helping them like co-produce it. Neville Hodge on Lots of Lovin', and the fifth track, Act Like You Know, was co-produced by Large Professor, who is a big he was a founding member of the group, the Main Source, and he was frequent collaborator with Nas. But going back to the album, number two is For Pete's Sake, which is just them really showcasing what they got for the most part, and they're just going back and forth for almost 6 minutes. Ghettos of the Mind is it's a song more about you know, life in the impoverished areas. It's CL Smooth the whole time. It's a 5 minute kind of a look into reality into that. Lots of Lovin', just kind of a love song in its own way. It's got CL Smooth rapping the verses, and you got Terry Robinson and Tabitha Brace doing the chorus. Number five, Act Like You Know. That's the one with Large Professor doing the help on the production. It's bumping. It's just, this whole album is very mellow, jazz rap kind of feel to it for the most part. Act Like You Know is, it definitely falls in line with most of that. Sixth track is actually about bootlegging music. It's called Straighten It Out. And, it's kind of it's a funny song. It's got, the CL Smooth the whole time. And next song on is Soul Brother number one, which is Pete Rock just by himself. And he holds his own, you know, he's a damn good rapper in his own right. But CL Smooth is definitely the lyricist in the group, with all respect due to Pete Rock. Number eight is Wig Out. And another side note is, like, for a hip hop album, especially today, it's rare for a rap album to be like, you know, almost an hour and a half long, especially these days. But yeah, this album's like 80 minutes long, you know, hour 20 minutes. So it was a different time back then. And Wig Out, this is another 4 minute, 10-second song with Pete Rock doing the intro and CL Smooth rapping it. And the next one is about the Nation of Islam with a intro by Adofa Abdullah Muhammad and CL Smooth doing the verses on it. It's a 5.5 minute song. A look into the Nation of Islam and their thoughts on it. And one of the top 5 best rap songs ever made, in my humble opinion. They Reminisce Over You, a ballad to Trouble T. Roy. From he was a dance member of Heavy D and the Boys, and he was how he passed away is someone pushed a trash barrel down an exit ramp while they were on tour in Indianapolis, and he got on the ledge to avoid the barrel running down. They were kind of horse playing, and he lost his balance and fell from he had about a 2-story fall, and he was dead of his injuries the next day. He was 22 years old. And this song has become one of the most highly regarded songs in hip hop history. Probably my personal favorite beat of all time. And by far easily their signature song, you know, and going on the 3-song runs on the album, I would probably have to say They Reminisce Over You, the next track, On and On, with a Grape Lover on the intro, another 5-minute banger, probably my second favorite song on the album, and It's Like That, track 12, just there. I would say this is an album without skips, but it really depends on you, how you feel like, how you like your hip hop. If it's aged well for you, I think it's aged incredibly well. Given it was released, 22 years ago, and I highly recommend listening to it. But the last 4 songs on the album, Can't Front on Me, which is another 4-minute song, got Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Like CL Smooth does most of the verses on all these songs, but then you have kind of a cypher style song, The Basement. It's a 5-minute song, and you got 6 different people doing verses. CL Smooth starts it off, going into Grape Love, third verse, the infamous Heavy D, 4th verse Pete Rock, 5th verse Rob O, 6th verse is from Data, and just very fun cipher. It just feels like a bunch of friends just getting together and just spitting verses back and forth. It's a very feel good kind of song. If It Ain't Rough, It Ain't Right, by CL Smooth. And as freaky as the name of that song is, I assure you it's about rapping. And the last song of the album, another cypher style song, except CL Smooth's got 3 verses on it, and Grand Poobah on the 2nd verse and Pete Rock on the 4th. And CL Smooth, like I said, for his time, one of the best lyricists. I mean, a lot of his stuff has held up incredibly well today. I would highly recommend listening to this album. I'd have to give it probably 8.5, 9 out of 10. It's one of my favorite rap albums of all time. And yeah, you got anything to add on that? Because it's just a very fun album.
No, I mean, I don't really know much about it, honestly, but I do know They Reminisce Over You. I mean, that's kind of one of those, all-time classic songs. I mean, outside of that, I couldn't really, give any input. I don't want to cap about shit.
No, I understand.
But I guess I'll get one more rock album in here before I jump off, before I go to a different genre, I guess. This is one, man, this album reminds me of my first ex-wife. I listened to this album right after I graduated high school. Listen to it nonstop. Like I was listening to like 3 albums at the time. I was listening to Tesla's second album, The Great Radio Controversy, which is one of my favorites. Listened to the first Godsmack album, which is a banger. And I was listening to this, the first Jackal album, the self-titled. Jackal is like, I don't like, if you haven't heard them, it's just, damn, it's really just, like southern hard rock, I guess. Don't know how to, it's good. Like that first album, oh man, it's just so good. I love, like, opens up with I Stand Alone. You got, I just go through the track list. Like, you got I Stand Alone, which is a radio single. Dirty Little Mind, which is another one. It was played on the radio. Down on Me. You know, some of these songs had some sexual innuendos if you can't tell from the titles. When Will It Rain? That's another sexual one. Redneck Punk. The Lumberjack, which is probably the biggest song. That is their biggest song, and it was definitely the biggest one on the album. My personal favorite, Reach for Me. Holy fuck, what an album. I mean, what a song. That, oh my god, it's a great song. I love it. It's so different too. It's different than the rest of the album. Well, it is. It's more of a serious song than the rest of the album. It's really good. Like, you got Reach for Me, and this might be like the backside of this album might even be stronger than the front side. Like, you got Reach for Me, Back Off Brother, Brain Drain, Just Like a Devil, and She Loves My Cock. Get the fuck, dude. This shit fucking bangs. Like, man, She Loves My Cock. She tried a lawyer, she tried a jock, but she loves my cock. You can't go wrong, man. Just Like a Devil, too. It might be the most underrated song on the album. Like, people wouldn't know. And that song, like, Just Like a Devil, it's just a hard rock. Like, it's just a straightforward, you know, just talking about his, I don't know, it's, you know, talking about a woman. I'm guessing, just talking about, you know, going through life. And then what she really likes to do is just fuck, I guess. It's a good, like this, like I said, there's some of the songs, you know, it's clever how they, you know, talk about the sexual innuendos, but like, a lot of it is that, like, a lot of the album, you know, it does have that. That's not your, like, you know, if you don't like those kind of lyrics, I get it. I mean, I think you should grow up, be a fucking man and love it. But you know, you should, but no, I mean, to me, and I guess it's cause I've listened to the album, you know, since I was like 8 years old. First time hearing Jackal. Man, I love it. Like, it's one of those, it just it has a place in my heart, I guess, just from being a kid, like growing up, listening to it all the time. Yeah, that's some good stuff. Like, I would recommend it. I mean, honestly, like, to be fair, I guess in all reality, you know, I have a lot of high praise for the album just because, like I explained, you know, growing up listening to it. But you know, if I had to rate it, I guess I'd give it like being realistic, like probably a 7 out of a 10. But I would probably, for me personally, I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10 just cause you know, just cause I love it. I have favoritism towards it. But, also they are from the Owl's Nest in Kennesaw, Georgia. What are you gonna do when the Kennesaw State Owls,
What are you doing?
when the Kennesaw State Owls win the Natty this year, baby? They're my favorites to win the Sun Belt.
Hell yeah.
It's gonna be Kennesaw State versus James Madison for the Sun Belt maybe. But yeah, that's Jackal's album though, great. Even their second album, it's good too. You know, if y'all just want to listen to Jackal, get off into that a little bit. You know, if you like hard rock and stuff, like just straightforward to it, you know, you'll like it.
Oh, it's worth it. Definitely. But, for something completely different, we're going to go to another Southern band. And, while I've grown out of, I think my love for, the music these guys make, It's still a band like we've talked about before. We respect what they did, but this album, truthfully, is just undeniably good. And I'm talking about Pantera's 1992 Vulgar Display of Power.
Ooh,
And
what a bad album. That album sucks, bro. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I guess you can just agree to disagree. But no, that being said, everything, like all their personalities, like put all that aside, you don't have to like them as people to understand that this was definitely a very revolutionary album for metal as a whole. Um, Starting off with Mouth for War, just we're going to be talking. You talk about kind of like that Rage Against the Machine album. There's not a calm song on that album. There's not a song on this album that isn't just violent by nature. So that's what you're getting into with groove metal and the like that. But Pantera, being pretty much the people that a lot of people say invented it for the most part. I mean, that's debatable at the end of the day, but they were definitely the first popular band of that genre. And Mouth for War, A New Level, which is another just absolutely brutal song. Leading into probably one of the three biggest hits they have in Walk. Um, I think it's a bit overplayed now, but for the people that love extreme metal and stuff like that, it's definitely a good starting point if you're wanting to go into this kind of music. Fucking Hostile is probably my personal favorite song on the album. Um, it's it's the shortest song on the album, and it's definitely more like hardcore punk inspired than groove metal. It feels more like a thrash song than anything. This Love, which is probably the calmest, one of the more calm songs on the album. Um, it's a 6.5 minute, just kind of a slugfest that it just sits on top of you and just suffocates you. It's that kind of a song because it'll be calm throughout the verses and then the chorus is just a gut punch like most of the music they do. But, going into that, Rise, this is probably, if I had to pick a least favorite on the album, it's probably Rise. Um, No Good, Attack the Radical is, we're picking things back up at this point. And, it goes into Living a Hole, Regular People, Conceit, and, No Good, Attack the Radical, Living a Hole, Regular People, Conceit is probably my personal favorite song run on the album. But, that's due to change because I like most of the songs on this album except for Rise. And, I think after that, the last two on the album, By Demons Be Driven and Hollow, which is, another hit of theirs. And, it's more of you look into the lyrics of a song and it's a very depressing song. It's about a friend of Phil, went into a coma. And, yeah, this whole album is so Pantera was a band as a whole that like every album they made, they were trying to be like heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier as the albums went on. And you can definitely tell from like Cowboys from Hell, which was insanely heavy for the time it came out compared to this album, it's night and day. And then even this album compared to like Far Beyond Driven, which is probably my favorite Pantera album. Between that or the Great Southern Trendkill, but every album they just got successfully heavier and heavier and heavier up until they hit what was that last one they ever made? Reinventing the Still in 2000. That's probably my least favorite of theirs. But yeah, I would probably give this album I'd give it an 8.5, 9 out of 10. It's a very solid album, and you know, I'll say R.I.P. to Vinny. Um, Dimebag went out in a fucked up way, but the more you learn about people you really respect, you'd be surprised how many people you still keep respecting, but, it is what it is. And, that's probably going to be the last metal album I talk about for the day.
Yeah, it's, I mean, you kind of just hit the nail on the head about the whole Pantera. Like, but yeah, that album, man, it is a good album. Something about like fucking Hostile, dude, man. That shit just get you going. But I don't know. Something about This Love, it does something to me. I don't know why, it gets me going.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoy that one. But, shit. I don't know, hell, like the last 3 songs of that album are really good too. Like Regular People, By Demons Be Driven, and Hollow. Like, damn. Kind of hard to beat that too.
Oh yeah.
But, boy howdy. Tip of the cap. I gotta hit y'all with this. You know what time it is.
That's right.
We're talking 90s. Boy howdy, you know I got that shit on me. We're talking about motherfucking George Strait Pure Country soundtrack from the motion picture, bro. Brother. Look, if you've never seen Pure Country, the movie, George Strait's lead actor, he's actually not a bad actor. Some people I guess if you were a film critic, you'd probably be like, it's like a B tier movie or something. But it is, like the first one is good. Like it actually has a good story and there's good stuff in there. And it's it's not horrible acting or nothing. So, but I mean, obviously if you're a film critic, you're like, oh, this ain't, well, I'm sure you could dissect it more than I can, besides being a George Strait glazer. But that's just, it is what it is. But man, dude, man, this album, the amount of Canadian Mist I drank listening to this album is insane. Like first song, number 1 hit, Heartland. Second song, number 5 hit, Baby You Baby, that's a banger. Baby Your Baby is an all-time banger. Like if you don't know about it, you gotta hit it up. Listen to this album. If you're a George Strait, aficionado, or if you're just a fan of you can't go wrong with this. This whole album is just straight heat. Would shout out to one of my long-term friends. I say term, time, don't really matter. Shout out to a long-time friend, grew up with her, Mia Timms, me and her used to vibe to this album, smoke a little of that ganja grass and drink a little bit of that whiskey and, and then listen to some George Strait. I Crossed My Heart, number 1 hit. When Did You Stop Loving Me? Woo-hoo. Put it on there, brother. Get that heartache start to turn. She lays it all on the line. That's just a great, that's an upbeat, straightforward country song. It's great. Overnight Mail. That's another one. I always think of the scene of the movie it comes from. It's another upbeat song, upbeat country, but it's great too. It's a banger. And, then you got Last in Love. Woo! Woo! I'm talking about, brother, you better not be sad when you listen to that. Cause that's gonna make you want to call your third ex-wife and get that alimony check or get it taken out of you. Thoughts of a Fool. Dude, that's a 3-song, the 3-song run right here, Last in Love, Thoughts of a Fool, and The King of Broken Motherfucking Hearts. Dude, that shit, he don't even try to build you up. He just tears you down on that 3 song stretch right there. I mean, Not much else you could say about that.
My favorite song on the album.
And then my favorite song on the album is the last song, and it's one of my favorite. It's a top 5 George Strait song for me. Where the Sidewalk Ends. My God, that song, like Trevor knows, I used to play it all the time. Like I sang it for probably 8 months straight. Like it stayed in my head. Like man, what a song. Just an album, man, the whole album, it's like, it is a 10 out of 10. I don't give one heck about none of that. You can't, there's no George Strait slander to me, brother.
That's right.
And then shout out his other album that came out this year. You know, it wasn't related to the movie. It's just, Holding My Own, which also had another number 1, So Much Like My Dad. Of course, it had a few more, top 5 hits as well, like Gone As a Girl Can Get. I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole album because I went over the Pure Country, but Holding My Own, that's a great album, but like it's not one of my favorite George Straits. It's a great one. It's a good one, and it's like, cause it's right before Dean Dillon came back. Like Dean Dillon is a all-time great songwriter for country music, and he worked with George Strait in the 80s, and then they stopped working together on, I think it was, I want to say Beyond the Blue Neon. Like there was about 4 albums. Yeah, well, including the soundtrack, about 5 albums he didn't do anything with George on, and then he came back on Easy Come, Easy Go. And like when he came back writing on that one, dude, like you could tell, like Holding My Own is good, and it's like, but when you go from that to 1993, Easy Come, Easy Go, when D. Dillon's back, like you can tell you're like, oh, there it is, like that songwriting, like them number 1 hits, like you can hear it, you're like, this is where it's at.
That's right.
But, any George Strait album I recommend to anyone if you like country, because like you just can't go wrong with it. But
You definitely can't.
and then I'll let Trevor will come in here and tell you. I don't know what he's picking next. If I had to take a guess, I'm gonna say a rap album.
Well, you would be correct, and not just a rap album, one of the best rap albums of all time. And just in case y'all thought,
Take Care didn't come out in 1992.
Jeez. No, we're talking about The Chronic from Dr. Dre. Easily one of the most iconic albums of all time.
Oh yeah.
Just, no matter how you feel about it, changed the game on, a lot of people, claim this is, when the game was really changed as far as sampling goes. I'd say like between this and, Enter the 36 Chambers, from Wu-Tang is definitely, it's up for debate between those two, but, this one did come out first, so there is a lot of truth in those statements. That being said, you start off with The Chronic, the intro with, Snoop Dogg and Dre on it, and Snoop Dogg's on not every song, but just about every song on this album. And, if he wasn't on the song, Snoop probably wrote it. And, so it starts off with, it starts off with The Chronic and, going straight into the Eazy-E diss, actually, Fuck With Dre Day, and Ice Cube diss on top of that. And, you got Dre on it, you got Snoop Dogg, you got the narrator, and, Jewel, doing the outro. And, then right after that, you got the third track, Let Me Ride, rapping over the, Parliament and, James Brown, Funky Drummer, which is pretty much the most sampled drum loop of all time, to my knowledge. But, number 4, you got the day the guys took over. It's, that's not the name of it, but, I'm not at liberty to say what the name of it is. That song has Snoop Dogg, RBX, the narrator, and Daz Dillinger. I'd rather not.
Go ahead and say it, bro. It ain't gonna matter.
No, we're good, man. No, fuck. No, we got Dr. Dre on the second verse and the narrator on the third verse, then Daz Dillinger on the fourth, and Snoop Dogg doing the outro, and then easily the biggest hit off of this album, I would say. Nothing But a G Thing, written completely by Snoop Dogg. And everybody and their moms heard that song, Nothing But a G Thing, baby. Right after that, you got D's Nuts, and that's 1992, so I think all them on there, Nate Dogg included, rest in peace, should file for trademark on D's Nuts, but, that's neither here nor there. Right after that, you got Little Ghetto Boy with Snoop Dogg and DOC writing that as well. DOC, in my opinion, should be one of the biggest rap stars of all time, but he had a car wreck and it really messed up his voice, and he was just never the same. To anybody that doesn't know who the DOC is, that's if you've ever heard Y'all Ready for This, that's him. So right after that, you got A Man with a Gun, another DOC Snoop Dogg written song. Dr. Dre is the only rapper on this. A Houdini sample. Friends. How many of us have them? Number 9 is Rat-Tat-Tat-Tat. Another Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg written song. Good rule of thumb on this, there might be like 3 or 4 songs on this album that wasn't like Snoop Dogg didn't have his hands in writing. This one's got Dre, Snoop, and BJ on it. Number 10 is a skit, is the $20 Sack Pyramid. It's got, it's not really a song. It's just, it's more of a skit. They're kind of, they're like on a show, kind of like a game show. And, Big Titty Nikki is the, show host, and you will have that on these big jobs. Number 11, one of my favorite, female rappers of all time, the Lady of Rage. If you haven't heard her, get familiar. Lyrical Gangbang. This song's got Lady of Rage, Corrupt, and RBX on it. Dre isn't even on this song, nor is Snoop. And the song's got a When the Levee Breaks sample on it. So if you enjoy Zeppelin, or at least When the Levee Breaks, give that song a listen. High Powered. It's another Lady of Rage, putting backing vocals on it with another Daz Dillinger outro. The Doctor's Office, another skit with Jewel, the Lady of Rage, and Dr. Dre. So you can take a guess as to how that probably is. Stranded on Death Row. You got Bushwick Bill from Ghetto Boys fame doing the intro on that, leading into a Corrupt verse. And Corrupt, again, if you're not familiar, one of the best rappers of all time. If you like Kendrick Lamar, by extension, you need to at least listen to some Corrupt because it's one of his biggest influences. Second verse, RBX, the narrator, Lady of Rage, Snoop Dogg, and Bushwick Bill doing the outro as well, with over the live performance of Do Your Thing by Isaac Hayes, sampling that, and some Graham Central Station and BT Express on top of that. And the last 2 songs is The Roach, which is the Chronic outro, which is not really the outro, but they pulled a sneaky on you. It's got the Lady of Rage, Jewel, Daz Dillinger, Image, Ruben, and the narrator again doing the verses. Dr. Dre is not on this song, but the last song, which is not really known as a song more than it's known as just one of the most iconic bars of all time. Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. Look on these nuts and suck the dick. The outro to the album with Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Daz Dillinger, Corrupt, and Snoop again, without the outro of the album being done by Jewel. I would say off of my own personal opinion, this is a 9.5 out of 10 album. But off of just being straight iconic, this is this is on the Mount Rushmore of like the most like impactful hip hop albums of all time.
Oh, without a doubt.
That's the reason I brought up Mecca and the Soul Brother first. That's just my personal favorite rap album that came out this year. But The Chronic, shit, forget about it. That's one of the most, I mean, like Dr. Dre is probably responsible for like 75% of like zigzag paper sales in the last 30 years. And The Chronic has a lot to do with that, with his face being right in the middle of like, the zigzag rappers. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add on top of that? Because this is absolutely one of the biggest albums of all time. Recorded in 3 months, dude, from April to June of '92.
Yeah, there ain't much you can say about it besides it just being iconic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great album. I mean, it's just a all-time banger. Like, you look back, it's like it just helped, it paved the way for mainstream hip-hop and rap, so that's about all you need to say about it, outside of what you said, going over it. But I guess since we're an hour and 11 minutes in, guess we can give you some honorable mentions that we have, and I'm sure when we look back, we'll be like, damn, we forgot this album, we forgot that, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But some honorable mentions right now, this is probably a little odd for some people, but I had to do it because I'm a big fan of them, and it is what it is. But Off the Deep End from Weird Al is an honorable mention for me. Like, I know it's Weird Al, but man, if you're into Weird Al, you're like, okay, this is a good song. Like, it's just a great album. But there's also, I believe it's the last song. Let's see. I believe it's the last song. Might be the second. I'm going to check before I. Yeah, the last song. It's the last song on the album, You Don't Love Me Anymore. It's not a funny song. Like, it's one of Weird Al's, like, serious songs, and my God, it'll get to you if you aren't ready for it. Like, that's all I can say. Like, the whole album, like, it's funny and all that. Obviously, it's Weird Al, but if you want to hear like, his actual, like an actual serious song, like You Don't Love Me Anymore it's one to, to check out. My other honorable mentions, I got, the EP from Tool, Opiate, the debut EP, like first time you ever heard of Tool. Just a great, it was a great EP. My favorite of the two, probably the two live songs on there.
Sure.
Yeah, Jerk Off. Cold and Ugly and Jerk Off, like, man, Jerk Off is my favorite. That's probably my favorite Tool song of all time. Like, oh, I love that. That's just it's so, like, the way Maynard sings it, it just gets to you. You're like, shit, dude. It's like, I hate my fucking dad. Oh, like, I love that. I don't know. I love that song. Like, the whole thing though, Sweat, Hush, Part of Me, Cold and Ugly, Jerk Off, Opiate, like, all bangers. I actually did see, they played one of these songs the second time I saw Tool. Oh, I can't even remember. Shit, hold up. Might have been, I think it was either Sweat or Hush. It was, damn, I lost it, Trevor. This is just gonna be like a phone call. What's the song? It's like, I'm the hunter and the fisherman and you're getting that you're man.
Isn't that Part of Me? No, it ain't Part of Me. Hold up. I don't even think that's the right album. I'm sorry.
No, Part of Me is on there.
Oh, Part of Me is on there? Okay, my
Yeah.
bad. Is it,
Damn.
shit. I don't know. Let's see. Sweat, Hush, Part of Me, Cold and Ugly, Jerk Off, Opiate. And, The Gaping Lotus is also the hidden song on Opiate, the actual song itself. I don't know though.
I can tell you. Hold up. Nope. I'm sorry. It was Part of Me. I'm sorry. It was Part of Me.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Sorry.
Yeah. No, Part of Me. That's the song. Yeah, they played it live. Anyways, love that song.
Yeah. Insane concert when we saw him.
Yeah, that was the first. They didn't play it the first time, but when we saw them. But the second, when I saw them with Brett, they played Part of Me. And then my third, let's see, another honorable mention is The Chase from Garth Brooks. Really good. That's a really good out. Like, it's Garth, you can feel how you feel about Garth, I guess, but man, dude was on fire back in the day. I mean, like, he couldn't do no wrong. Like, the best song to me on there is probably, one of the hits, Somewhere Other Than the Night. My God, what a song that was. Like, that. There's some good stuff, like, if you go listen to the album, you'll find a song that, like, every now and then, something with a ring to it, Night Riders Limited, Face to Face. Like, there's some good songs that are B-side, that weren't on the radio, but, the two, like, out of the hits on there that really stuck with me was, like Somewhere Other Than the Night and That Summer. Like, those are the best singles on that album. It's if you're in the country, 90s country and, Garth, if you haven't heard that album, I'd recommend it. It's a good one. Then, a sleeper pick, something people might not even know they released an album that year since they were part of the glam metal wave, but Warrant had an album called Dog Eat Dog that came out that year. And boy howdy, it is not like any of their other, like, it's not like the glam stuff. I mean, it was just balls to the wall, like hard rock, dude. It was a great album. Like, I loved, like, Dog Eat Dog from Warrant is awesome. Like, the title track, and there's a song called Machine Gun on there. Like, it's, it's definitely something worth checking out. And, I guess my last honorable mention, and I'll let Trevor, close everything out, is I can't do the year 1992 without doing this. And it might be a little odd, after all we talked about, but Cannibal Corpse, Tomb of the Mutilated. Fuck, dude. Like,
It's a great album for extreme metal. It really is, though.
Yeah, like, if you're death metal and like, this is like the classic. This is the third album, after, the first two, Eaten Back to Life, the first one, and then Butchered at Birth. The second album, like, Tomb of the Mutilated is when it came together for them, I guess, and like, and of course they ended up being in, Ace Ventura Pet Detective the next year from it. And, like, it has the two, I don't know how much I can, like, the name of the songs I can actually say on here without, getting canceled or something, but, the first two songs are probably the most iconic and biggest songs they ever did, is Hammered Smashed Face and I Come Blood. Like, God, like, I used to sing these songs all the time in high school. Like, I do love some, like, I love death metal. I love, like, extreme shit. I like, hardcore and shit like that. Like, I have a wide variety of music that I listen to. Like I said, this one might be a little bit odd, given to what we've talked about, but yeah, like, I just had to shout it out just because, like, it did a lot for death metal, and it did, like, and Trevor knows, like, hell, all of our friends, like, I used to sing it a lot, like, a lot of people would, sing Cannibal Corpse just to freak people out in school because it was funny, one of them things when you're a teenager, but other than that, it is a great album if you're into death metal and all that, so, go listen to, Necropedophile, not good.
Good Lord.
Post-mortal ejaculation. Oh. And yeah, I'm probably not going to say any more of the tracks on there, but,
we just put on a fucking list just for naming the track. It ain't gonna be good.
But yeah, so that's my last honorable mention. Do what you want.
Yeah, so I only got 3 honorable mentions here, and I'll not keep up too long. Keeping in line with hip hop. Bizarre Ride to the Far Side, the Far Side's debut album. This was kind of like the album that really built and established the new, like, alternative hip hop scene on the West Coast, because you had one on the East Coast, just not so much on the West. And the Far Side, I mean, they're from down, LA. So, for that kind of, rap to be coming out of LA at the time compared to the more popular thing, like the Chronic and stuff like that coming out at the time, Death Row, Tupac, Snoop, all that. This was more of a, lighthearted, playful, more jazzy sounding, West Coast kind of hip hop. And, biggest hit on this, song I recommend is Passing Me By, which is, one of the more popular songs, from this style of hip hop, especially from this era. But, with that being said, the next and final rap album I will be talking about, and the second of my 3 honorable mentions, is a Daily Operation from Gangstar. And going back into a more, gritty East Coast kind of hip hop, this is, one of the most highly regarded hip hop albums of all time. 92 was just a really good year for rap. At least in my opinion, this is like 91 was really when it changed. And then 92 was like the first, like, all right, let's see what we can do. And then everything after that is it's just, depending on who you ask, it either got worse or it got more variety to it. But, Gangstar, one of the, the beats all made by Primo, DJ Premier, one of the best hip hop producers of all time. If not the best, like, just absolute, like, man's never made a bad beat. To this day, brings that, like, 90s boom bap style with a modern twist. Ooh La La by, Run the Jewels is a great example of that. Biggest song on this album is probably either BYS, which is, short for Bust Your Shit, or, I'm the Man with Lil Dap and Jeru the Damaja, or Damaja. One of my favorites. Yeah, highly recommend this album. If you've ever played San Andreas, BYS, you've heard that song before. And, for something completely different, and it's not necessarily that I like or even dislike this album, but it's just kind of a weird thing to think about, this album coming out this long ago. Of course, we're talking about the beautifully written, absolute, just the most beautiful music you've ever heard. La Sexorcisto, Devil Music Volume 1 from White Zombie. And, yeah, this is good Christian music. Obviously, this is like the 2 biggest hits. They got Thunder Kiss 65 and Black Sunshine with Iggy Pop doing the spoken word on it. Definitely the 2 biggest hits. from White Zombie specifically, obviously, Rob went on to do his own thing, in his solo career, but,
You're forgetting the other big hit they had.
Oh, what was that?
More human than human. More human.
It wasn't on this album, but, yeah, that was a pretty big hit.
It might have been if you believe in it.
Well, if you believe hard enough. Starts off with Welcome to Planet Motherfucker, Psychoholic Slag, which, yeah, pretty much gives you a great idea of what the rest of the album is going to sound like. And it's definitely for you or it's not for you. There's not much of a middle ground. I've never met anybody that's like, yeah, White Zombie's okay. It's either I love them or I hate them. And, it's not meant to appeal to anybody, but if you do like, I would almost call it like, especially the White Zombie stuff, it's more like in line of like what Pantera was doing at the time, just not nearly as intense or violent. Most people consider White Zombie groove metal. I mean, that's kind of a stretch. I would think more like Sepultura or something like that, but it is what it is. And, yeah, I would recommend it because even for it being Rob Zombie, this is a banger of an album, in my opinion. And, highly recommend it. My favorite song on it's probably Spider Baby. Very, very goofy sense of humor on the album. Horror inspired. And of course, Rob Zombie looks like the ghost of Macho Man Randy Savage and always has. But, I recommend it. You would be surprised how much you might like it.
Oh, yeah.
But, with that being said, that's all, I think that's all the albums we're probably going to talk about on today's episode. Comment, what albums you feel like we forgot. If you, feel so inclined to, thank you for watching. And, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, slap your dog, throw your kitten in a blender. Do whatever makes you happy. I'm not going to stop you.
And one more thing. We love you guys.